Hello, my name is Tim Erickson. I am the artistic director of the Boomerang Theater Company, and I'm very excited today to be talking with playwright Kanishk Pandey. A little bit about Kanishk. He is a graduate of NYU's Tisch Dramatic Writing Program. He is a member of Club Thumb's early career writers group, and his work has been seen at theaters across New York City, including the Lark, the Sanguine Theater, and the Tank, among others. More excitingly, his upcoming Baton project reading of his new award-winning play, Let Me Rot, is coming up on June 22nd. So, Kanishk, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about it.
Very cool. So, tell me a little bit about Let Me Rot. Like, what's it about, and what inspired you to write it?
Sure. So, just as sort of vague idea of it, Let Me Rot is about um a young man named Mungal who ends up finding death on a dating app, literally death. Um, they go on a few dates, and then for other reasons, he happens to commit suicide, which of course means death has to come along. So the play is sort of about that point where two people in a very early stage of a relationship meet in this very, very dark moment, an ending moment in a person's life. So yeah, happy play.
It's very funny. It's surprisingly funny for the subject matter that we're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a thing I care a lot about, like the little comedic bits in tragic moments.
Yeah,
It helps. I think it helps lighten stuff, especially when you reach that ending point in a play, which I won't say more about, but like,
sure.
at that ending point, I think things hit a little harder
Yeah,
depending where you land.
yeah.
Um, as far as inspiration goes, it's all over the place, to be honest. Um, in the most vaguest sense, I really wanted to write a play where there's a character named Death, who was a girl whose head was a flower, and I saw her riding a bike. And that was the main core of it, was
That seems
that.
right. That seems good.
um it was just a stage image. I wanted to put a bike on stage, to be honest, for a long time. I think
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Um and then yeah, it went from there. It evolved a lot in the drafting process. It started being a lot more set in place, and where it is now, it is constantly changing different locations and times, and um that was sort of an evolution that came from reading a lot of what's the word? Station drama and expressionist theater and medieval theater,
Oh,
which,
wow.
like,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I think that the very famous one is Everyman, which is
Yeah.
like the Everyman, right? But there's a Brecht play called Ball, which is very similar, and then there's Strindberg's expressionist drama was a good touchstone for me.
Yeah.
Um, I find that stuff very interesting, and for something that's very a character study, it's fun to have almost a relationship study of these two people going through all these moments in each other's lives.
One of the things I really love about it too, and audiences when they come to see it, the reading on the 22nd will really get a chance to sort of experience what we're talking about. But it, the structure of the play also, because it is two people who have met on a dating app, you're able to show these juxtaposed timelines of both the moment when a soul is being collected, but also the silliness and the weirdness and the awkwardness of first dates and a thousand other things that make it very comedic and very structurally like fascinating. That wasn't a question; it was
Thank
just
you.
a statement. But
Appreciate that. No,
I mean, like, yeah. So it's really a
no,
about every man in the station plays. It makes a lot of sense in terms of the way that you're talking about structure as well. Um,
yeah, and I'm glad you especially mentioned that relationship part, because that was something that was very important to me. Of like the moment where like a relationship goes from the awkward knowing stage to where like something dark is revealed, and some intimacy has to upgrade in a sense.
I think what's great about it too is it also makes it very. I mean, obviously, the moment of death is universal to a lot of people. We're all coming for it eventually, but I think we've all been on dates or in moments where we're just like, oh man, I can't talk to this person, or I said the wrong thing, or man, I wish I could take that back, or this is going great and it's really not. Like all those little things that make life, tragic and funny and bizarre, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you think about I mean, obviously you're dealing with these comedic elements we're talking about, but you're also dealing with death and a character attempting to commit suicide, which is some heavy things. When you think about what you'd like the audience to sort of walk out thinking about, or what themes you want them to take away from it, where do you see what do you see the dramatic questions, and what do you want them to be chewing on as they leave?
Yeah. Um, and I think this is sort of a question that can be related to anybody and everybody who can get to see it and get to interact with it. Is sort of this question of separating concepts of masculinity and intimacy. I think a lot of things, a big thing I was interested in when I wrote the play was sort of a strain of masculinity that has become very popular online that leads to a lot of isolationism
Mhm.
and a lot of separating the self while still like maintaining like this weird heteronormative need for like conquering the woman, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And I think I was very interested and I was thinking a lot of I've been in a relationship for a bit now, and I was thinking a lot of the early on periods where there was a lot of steps I needed to take to relinquish like some of my things to be intimate and to reach out to someone for comfort. So I think I would love for people to get to walk away with how masculinity can be defined in a way that allows intimacy and softness and finding shelter in other people. Um, yeah, I think that's a main thing.
That's great. I think the last decade or so, I've really talked about this idea of what is masculinity, and does it have to be violent, or does it have to be tough? Does it have to be a denial of emotion? Does it have to be whatever form it takes? But it's mostly a sort of a closed off stoicism.
Yeah.
And the idea of sort of cracking that open and sort of seeing what's inside, I think is such a fascinating thing to explore dramatically. Um,
Yeah.
and
And not to per se like say to destroy masculinity or to create something of like this is this and this is that and you only be one or the other, but to understand like getting to understand how coexistence can be, how you can have coexistence between one sense of masculinity, one sense of intimacy, and that sort of stuff
yeah,
before you get put into a place where you're all alone.
yeah, I think that's great. If people were interested in seeing more of your work, where could they find more?
Besides the reading on June 22nd.
Besides the reading, look, he's plugging. This is great. Besides the reading on June 22nd, if they were looking to explore further, where would they go?
Sure. I mean, I have my website, kanishkpandey.com. I think we try to keep that updated. Right now, we're updating it currently, so it's still getting built. But yeah, there's a few things. I have a reading coming up with Club Thumb for Summer Works, the reading series. That'll be June 9th at 3 p.m., which is an interesting time. Uh, but that's Gardens at Glens Head. It's a different piece. And then somewhere towards late August, I'll be doing some work on another play of mine called The Fate of the Online Cow. Um, yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it sounds
Um,
like it.
but yeah, and then otherwise, I have a Substack where I sometimes publish essays, and um, I have let's see, some short stories floating around there. So
Awesome. So I'll put all of that information in the notes at the bottom of this,
sure,
and people can reach out and check out your work. So um,
that'd be great.
we're excited to have you as part of the Baton Project. Thank you so much for doing this little interview, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.